Hi, thank you so much for dropping by this video. So I'm feeling really inspired to share one of my favorite things in the world. It's called transparent communication. And I feel inspired to share it because there's the hope of, there's the hope of finding other people out there who want to do it. And there's also the wish, it's been so nourishing and profound for me. There's the hope that it could really bless other people. In this moment, I'm just feeling peaceful and excited and a little nervous. Nervous because, there's thoughts like, well, what if people don't like it? But there's also nervousness because, um, obviously in making this video, I'm putting out little feelers of finding people to do it with, and I've led workshops on it in the past, and it's a very, it can be very vulnerable, not just for me. It's not so much vulnerable to share myself. I feel very comfortable doing that. Um, but it's very vulnerable to really deeply listen to another person, and be impacted by them, because that's what transparent communication is. And in fact, the first 1 minute and 30 seconds of this video, I kind of just did it. Transparent communication is two people sitting across from each other. If they're comfortable looking into each other's eyes, they can always take breaks from that as needed. And in essence, having a conversation that looks something like this. One person starts, and basically it's if as if they were to peel back the layers of their skin, their bones, everything, and they just share what they're experiencing in the present moment. And then the other person does the same thing, which may or may not have anything to do with what the first person said. Oftentimes it does, but it turns into this flow, into this dance. So, for example, what's real for me now is I just feel deep. I feel myself kind of going inward, looking within. I feel a deep sense of peace. Now, if I was doing this with someone else, what would happen is I would say what I just said. What's real for me now is I feel myself going in deep and just touching into this deep sense of peace. And then I would stop speaking. And at some point, the other person would do the same thing. They would look inside themselves. They would look at not just inside themselves, but what they're experiencing in the moment. And they would respond. A response might be, I find myself really curious about that peace, that feeling of peace. Of course, that's a response to what I said. Or it might be something completely different. It might be doing their own little check-in, like, in this moment, I notice I feel very present, expansive, a little tired from the day. And then it would be my turn, and it just goes back and forth. And it turns into, I've had some of the most amazing conversations in my life, and doing this practice with people, and I've had a couple deep states of oneness where I really felt this unspeakably immense connection. And one time it was with someone who was a complete stranger. They came to one of my workshops on transparent communication. And I don't want to call them workshops. It's more like practice gathering where you just get together and do it. And I guess it's such a sense of oneness with this person. So that's a little introduction to transparent communication. If you have questions, comments, please feel free to leave them. If you would like to share what's real for you, having watched this video, and I think that's how I'll close, is I currently just feel very present. There's some curiosity, both inspired curiosity of like, oh, this video could lead to something. And there's also fear of like, oh, I'm a very, very sensitive, very, very sensitive being. And like, oh, this video could lead to conversations in which I don't, maybe conversations which don't feel so good. Like, oh, maybe it'll lead to conversations that are like amazing and exciting, or like, oh, maybe it'll lead to conversations that are don't feel good. So there's a lot of there's a feeling of unknown and this mixture of inspiration and fear. Thanks so much for dropping by. Take care. Much love.